So, hello and welcome back. Thank you very much for that. We were just changing some of the streams and setting a few things up so that the morning motivation is classed on its own now. As I mentioned previously, one of the things that we're going to be doing is bringing a lot of the lessons together, bringing a lot of the lessons forward. So there's only a 5-minute break between them, which is hopefully better for you guys in terms of setting up and being prepared for just having a good whole hour and a half, 2 hours of streaming information this morning, and then really helping you get set for the rest of your day rather than taking in over 3.5 hours. Because so many more people have been volunteering and deciding to help us, it's taking more and more time to actually get these lessons in. So I hope by compacting it in this way and having the tasks up on the different sites, it's going to be useful to you. So without further ado, good morning again, Michael. The screen is on you and the floor is yours.
Morning. So morning. Welcome everybody back to Streaming School for another English session today. So as we were saying previously, it's going to feel a little bit like Groundhog Day for a few of you who were here on Friday, who began to explore with myself and then Leon and Nish the importance of being able to complete another particular task that you're going to be asked to complete as part of any assessment that you may do for English language. But actually, more importantly here, we're looking at another type of writing, transactional writing, that you're going to need in your adult life, as well as concentrating on our ability to still write any piece of text to the highest possible standards. So Nish, can you please share my screen, please?
All right.
I don't know how many times I can say the word please in one sentence. That shows you how that's how my mama raised me. So as we said, we are going to be exploring the idea of writing a letter today. And we're going to be looking at in a variety of different ways. So our main aim is obviously to identify how we construct a letter in the first place. And we're going to be looking at formal as well as informal types of letter writing, because as I said, everything we're also going through today, I'm using letter, but actually more and more examples are starting to use the phrase email. Exactly the same method of construction, just with one slight tweak at the start of each piece. We'll go through that in due course. And obviously, as always, my job would not be complete if we didn't look at being able to understand how to create an impactful piece of writing every single time. Now, what I would say here is, in regards to impactful piece of writing, hopefully you've been working with us at Streaming School long enough now that you memorize this, you've understood this, and before I even show you the spider diagram in all its accurate and aesthetic glory, you will be able to identify each key component. So we'll test you on that when we get to that in due course. Now, when we're writing a letter or any particular text type, we need to focus in on the past. Now, this is an acronym. It stands for purpose, audience, structure, and text. Now, again, with any of this, what we're not trying to do at Streaming School is to replace anything that you've been previously taught or anything you've currently been taught or find more effective. What we're trying to offer for you is just a different way of looking at the same thing, and then it's up to you to find out what works best for you. So when I'm trying to respond to a particular task, I get asked a question, an assessment question, or in everyday life, I'm sent an email from someone that I need to reply to, or I've got a letter from someone to reply to. I consider the past of this. So first of all, the purpose. Well, why are you writing this? Are you writing it to persuade, to advise, to complain, to entertain? That will impact on the way you write it. Also, your audience, who is it for? So the way, for example, I speak to you now, it will obviously be slightly more formal, I would hope, than if I was speaking to one of my friends, or potentially when I'm playing some kind of sport, football, rugby, or something like that. I don't particularly use an extremely formal register. Registers are just a level of speech. You know, if one would care, could you please, if it's not trouble, to please pass me. You get the idea. It's not how it works. Then structure. How should the text be shaped? So we're looking at letter writing today. So we know, obviously, that I need to employ the structure of writing a letter. And then finally, text. So what language style, register we looked at already, should be employed. So there's going to be some key vocabulary that you're going to want to put into that particular task to ensure that you're doing everything you're required. So the past, purpose, audience, structure, text is a great way to get you to think about what you should be doing to make sure you get it right. Because before we move on, as we know, quite a large proportion of your marks will be, first of all, does it look like the thing you're being asked to do? That's important to consider. Now, how do we actually set the letter out? And again, with any of this, please feel free to pause this if you are watching it live, or if you're not watching it live, come back to it, take screenshots, take notes, do whatever you need to do, read it, cover it, say it aloud, so you are learning the method. So we obviously plan our response. So we make sure we note down our 3 or 4 ideas that we're going to include in the main body, key vocabulary and whatnot. Then, if we are writing a letter, the top right-hand side, the address, the misaligned, the date. So the address will be the sender's address in the top right-hand corner. If you wish to be extremely formal, then on the top left-hand side, you'll put the recipient's address, the receiver's address. That's less and less the case now in letter writing. In fact, I can't remember the last time I ever saw that in a letter I've received, but it's there. It's part of obviously the way we structure it. Exam boards will not take marks away if you forget that. What I would say is if you're talking about emails, the address and the date you do not need to include. But we would miss a line, and on the right-hand side, you obviously write the date that the letter was constructed. Then we have the greeting. So we miss a line again, and on the left-hand side, begin with dear. Then we have the name of the person, or sir or madam if you don't know the name of the receiver, and a comma after that. Now you have a choice here in the way you structure your letter. So you will either begin underneath the name, and that means that you are indenting your paragraphs and not missing a line. But if you miss a line and you start the letter on the left-hand side rather than indented, all your paragraphs should follow that method. Then, typically we have an introductory sentence or short paragraph, which you will be explaining the reason for writing your letter. So remember, that's the purpose. In your main body, we now have a number of paragraphs which explore the purpose of a letter, making sure to include the skill elements, vocabulary, punctuation, and everything that's required. In our conclusion, we obviously add a new paragraph, and we write a statement which kind of summarizes the purpose of the letter. Once we've done that, we would then have a new line, use the phrase yours faithfully if you don't know the recipient, or if, for example, you're using Mr., Mrs., Ms., or yours sincerely if you do. Then another line underneath, you write your name. And time and time again, I'll see people not do that right because obviously they've not practiced the methods. So this, as we remember, is the spider diagram of dreams. It's the thing that we're trying to achieve every single time we produce a great piece of writing. Again, please feel free to pause this, note it down, take screenshots. But if you know this, when you're checking your work at the end, you can literally tick each one of these off, because if you haven't achieved all of them, you've not achieved full marks. And that's hopefully what you're here to achieve. Full marks, the very best that you can achieve. So again, we plan our response. We make sure we know exactly what we're going to write. It saves us time. We don't get halfway through our answer and then suddenly panic because we've forgotten what our fantastic final part of our writing was going to be. We then also need to make sure that we demonstrate a variety of punctuation for impact. So make sure we use lots of different types in the right way. Our interesting vocabulary, obviously, create meaning. We spell those words correctly. And again, remember, I know I keep saying it, but it's true. If you're someone that struggles a little bit with certain spellings, well, then revise 10, 15, 20 key vocabulary that you are going to then use in whatever text you decide to create. We use a variety of sentence starters and sentence types, simple, compound, complex. And as I keep promising you, we will be looking at different sentence types and how we can kind of have some, again, not hacks, but some good advice to help us ensure that we do that. We also want to make sure our paragraphs are nice and cohesive, so they link together quite well to create a nice structured piece of text. Creating a structured piece of text means it's sustained. Now, those of us that are going to get the very best marks, the end of our piece will be as strong as the start of any particular text type. We obviously proofread, and again, when we're proofreading, as I've said, you should be ticking off each particular element. Have I done all of these things? If you have, you're on for full marks. And finally, and I'm going to show you this in a moment with our examples, have fun with it. Be interesting. This is all about you showing off your skills to someone who's never met you before. And as I've used this analogy before, if in a sporting sense, I threw you a football and said, show what you can do, and all you did was trap the ball under your foot, and that's the only thing I ever see you do, I'm not going to think you're very good. I think you're okay, but not very good. If you start doing all these tricks and skills and demonstrating a full range of ability, I'm going to think, hey, this person knows what they're doing. They must be good at this. I'm going to reward them highly. And it works the same in any of your exams, particularly when we're talking about schooling and English language in general. So let's look at a couple of examples now, shall we? Here we have a formal letter. So the purpose of this task, just so you're aware, was to write a letter of complaint to a company based on experience you've just had. So let's talk through the different elements here. And let's make sure, obviously, that we can all see that nice and clearly. So again, there is our address. There is the date with Mr. Line, which is fantastic. Then on the left-hand side, dear sir or madam, you can see I've indented my paragraph. So what should I be doing? For dramatic effect, well, we know now I should be on a line like this, okay? So, dear sir or madam, so that is all structured nice and correctly. I'm writing to unfortunately explain the huge level of disappointment I feel in regards to the recent service I have received from you. It's a sentence which highlights the purpose of the letter. Look at the different vocabulary being used. Huge level of disappointment I feel. We've now got the tone, we've got the purpose, we've got the audience. We can see the structure, and we've started to use the right kind of vocabulary text. So you notice how the past has helped me to structure this. Being a loyal customer for many years, and I must emphasize the word loyal, I was devastated when my operating system not only crashed, but then caused the keyboard on my laptop to explode, creating a hailstorm of keys, semicolon being used instead of therefore placing myself and my 2-year-old pug, Sir Puggleton, in grave peril. I was worried he wouldn't make it. So notice, am I using a variety of different punctuation for impact? Yes. Am I using a variety of different sentence starters? Yes. Am I using interesting vocabulary? Yes. Am I showing off my skills here? Yes, I am. Am I having some fun with it? Well, yes, I am. I have a 2-year-old dash hound called Monty, who is a wonderful pain in my backside. But, you know, I don't have a pug, Sir Puggleton. Play around with it. Have fun with this task. Poor service does not end there. So notice now the cohesion in the paragraphs as well. Distressed, concerned, and rather apoplectic, which means beyond angry. I rang your customer helpline, which charges a ridiculous rate to find a saviour. Clive, unfortunately, was not that man. A simple sentence there being used to add impact. In fact, he knew less about your software than Sir Puggleton. Again, get the idea about being interesting, playing around with this, whilst also still maintaining the high level required to achieve the best mark possible. Now we're coming to conclusion. What I would say here is, guys, you can see I've got 2 main points being employed. I'm asking you really for free to help highlight that sustained detail. I'm using it just as an example today. I would hope you'd have one more area you've explored here. Once again, I am sorely disappointed at the level of service received after the loyalty I've shown you. I feel it is time you showed some loyalty to me, preferably in the form of a new laptop. So notice, we are concluding, we are coming back to the purpose of the letter, and I'm also here potentially making a suggestion. Well, I think you should do this for me now. A new laptop, wouldn't that be lovely? I look forward to hearing from you swiftly and apologetically. Yours faithfully, James Rupert. So notice, it's doing everything that we need to do to achieve full marks, but I'm also having fun with the task. I'm playing around with it. It makes it interesting to read. I'm showing off. I sound grade 9. I sound like I know what I'm doing. And the examiner will reward me for that. Now, let's take that same principle and let's apply it to an informal letter. So the structure is going to be exactly the same, but because it's informal, the task here was to write a letter to a friend to persuade them to take part in a charity event. So obviously our audience is going to be very different. Our purpose, we're persuading in both letters, notice. Both letters are to persuade. Structure is going to be the same, the text will be slightly different. There is the address and the date as we've had it before. And again, remember, if this was an email, this part would not exist. It would already be at the top done for us. So, salutations, friends. Now, let's dwell on this just for a second. Notice, it's an informal letter to a friend. I know the way we write to our friends is very different in reality as it is to an exam. And in fact, I'd be interested to know how many of you actually still write letters or have pen friends and things like that, pen pals, as they're called. Notice here that what I'm trying to do is trying to sound informal whilst also remembering what's the method I need to employ. Well, I need to employ interesting vocabulary, complex vocabulary for effect, for impact. Salutations, friend, does that. Salutations is a greeting. How are you? It's certainly been a long time since I saw your boat race, as you love to call it. Again, notice the informality, but look at the variety of different types of punctuation being employed, whilst also hitting the purpose. When you're writing to a friend, typically you begin by asking how they are. You know, the kind of the informal, polite, how is everything, how are you? Anyway, enough with the boring small talk. I have a far more urgent matter to bring to your attention. Are you ready? So again, we're getting onto the purpose here. Look at the different types of vocabulary. Look at the cohesion. Anyway, enough with that. So we're linking it. Let's not beat about the bush. You are an amazing cyclist. No, I don't want to hear it. You are. You may well remember that I'm also amazing at raising money for charity. Remember the baked bean bar for Red Nose Day? I'm still having tomato sauce related nightmares. So why don't we combine our two powers and cycle for charity? So notice again here that we are using that variety of skills we need to demonstrate. And look at the tone. No, I don't want to hear it. You are. There's a clear example of informality. We're clearly someone here who is playing around with writing letters, which is great. Think about it. You are not only getting to spend time with your favorite person in the world, me, not Neymar, you're also increasing your already incredible fitness by an easy 10-kilometer cycle, and you also will be rewarded with that inner happiness that comes from helping those less fortunate than ourselves. So what do you say? So remember, the purpose is to persuade them to join our charity event. Look at the persuasion we'll be using here. Flattery, also highlighting the benefits to them. We get the idea. Look at the variety of sentence types being employed, the great vocabulary. We're sustaining the quality. We're on task. You don't have to let me know now, but it would be amazing to see you again and ride in the sunset like two superheroes, helping the needy. I've even thought of a catchphrase for us. It's cycle time. Please don't judge me on that one. I know it's not the best, so you'll just have to tell me what you prefer on the starting line in July. Notice the persuasion there. Can't wait to hear from you again, buddy boy. Your favorite, James. So once again, the same structure has been employed, but we are using that variety of different writing skills to ensure we achieve full marks every single time. Nish, do you mind switching back to my face, please?
All right. Cool.
Thank you. So remember, we had two main aims today. One aim, our first, was to understand how to structure a letter. And we've done that. And we've looked at how we do that both for formal and informal purposes or registers. We've also considered how we include a variety of different formal writing skills within our work. And we've done that by looking at two examples. Because obviously it's only by looking at examples that we're able to understand better. Another way in which you can understand this topic further is to have a go yourself. So Nish will explain tasks that you need to do in due course, but essentially what would be great is if you are able to then have a go yourself, playing around with formality and informality. And as always, we are more than happy to take a look at your work and to give you some feedback if required on the various different channels. So I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, actually, I'm going to work alongside Nish to give her to kind of support Nish, because she's the one that drives us all forward, let's be honest. And I am very much looking forward to seeing you again in the very near future. And thanks once again, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Michael, and thank you for the lesson and for the continued efforts, buddy. It's really, really nice to have everyone chipping in, and none more so than you, buddy. None more so than you. Brilliant. So I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. And to everyone else, Nish is going to round off with some of the items. And Nish, the floor is now yours.
Fine. So the optional task today is the same as the one that was on Friday. So obviously this lesson was repeated because there were some technical issues. So it was create a letter of complaint or praise to a person or company of your choice. If you have done it before, either you can check and compare it to the examples that Mike gave today, or you try the opposite type of letter. See how it goes. Up next, we have a maths lesson. It's in 5 minutes.
I apologise, Nish. I didn't inform you properly. We're actually going to have the media lesson next. That was completely my fault because Sam just shot me a text this morning that he has a meeting. So we're going to be doing the media lesson first and then the maths lesson and then hopefully the science.
All right, cool. That's fine.
Let's see you in 5 minutes.
See you in 5.